Welcome to the airing of candidate videos produced by the League of Women Voters Bloomington, with a special thank you to the City of Bloomington for the production. My name is Grayson Crombie and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters Bloomington. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that never endorses candidates or political parties. In these videos, you will hear from candidates for the Minnesota Senate Districts 49 and 50, and the Minnesota House of Representatives Districts 49, 50A, and 50B. All candidates whose names will appear on Bloomington's general election ballots for the aforementioned offices were invited and encouraged to create a video. Videos are a means by which candidates can introduce themselves to Bloomington's citizens.
Thank you first to the League of Women Voters in Bloomington for having this ability to talk to you personally and to tell you why I want to continue to represent our district, Senate District 49. My name is Melissa Lopez-Franzen, and I've been representing our district, which includes the communities of Edina, Bloomington, Eden Prairie, Minnetonka, since 2012, and I'm running for my third term in the Senate. I want to continue the work that I started with my first term when we made significant progress in our state. We passed freedom, equality, freedom to marriage. We passed all-day kindergarten, and we also did increases in the minimum wage. Just this last session in 2020, we were able to pass Tobacco 21, Insulin for All, affordability for people who need this drug to live, and we also passed environmental TCE ban, the first in the nation. We're able to do so many things like Tobacco 21 as well. And we have a lot to do still in this state with a global pandemic where we, first of all, have to thank our first responders who have been working in the front lines, not just our healthcare professionals, but the teachers that have been working overtime and out of their normal routine with distance learning. We have to thank our firefighters and our police for all the work that they've done with this global pandemic. And we have to acknowledge that we're going to get out of it together. And we have to make sure that we have a robust state infrastructure to continue to support us during this time. I encourage others to really think about the science behind it and continue to stay safe in our communities. I want to continue the work that I've been doing in the Senate. I've served on different committees since 2012, starting with education policy. I've been on healthcare and health and human services. I was vice chair my first term, which was 4 years of work, and also on higher education, transportation, and public safety. I currently sit on taxes. I just finished my a year in taxes, and now I'm on finance, and I also serve on transportation still to this day, as well as health and human services. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be continued to be recognized, like the equity and disparities that we have in education and healthcare. And in light of the recent killing of George Floyd, we also have to acknowledge that there is systemic racism in a lot of parts of our government system. From its founding, America is not perfect, but we certainly strive to a perfect union. We want to make sure that all of us have the opportunity to thrive and succeed. As a mother of two little boys of 3 and 5 years old, I do have an interest in early childhood education and K through 12 funding, making sure that we support our schools, our teachers, our principals, and all those who have done so much, especially during this pandemic. I want to also acknowledge that the work of the Posse Caucus, which I am part of, the People of Color and Indigenous Caucus, we've been working on a lot of public safety reforms and criminal justice reforms for many, many years. And now with the spotlight on Minnesota, we have to showcase what we're able to do and accomplish together. So I want to work with my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. We have to do this together. There is no other way. And we're going to come out of it, not just George Floyd's killing, but also the pandemic, stronger than we've ever been before, because we will do it as the Minnesota way. We're going to do it together. I want to acknowledge all those constituents who have been contacting me throughout the years. Some of you who have different political ideologies but still come and tell me what they need, and I try to be your voice in every issue because I believe I should represent the entire district, not just half the district. And I think we need to put politics aside and stop doing the finger pointing. We have a lot of work to do. Minnesota is going to have a projected deficit because of the economic downturn and the pandemic. So we have a lot at stake, and we were in good foundation and standing with a $1.6 billion surplus at the beginning of the year. That's gone. Now we have to roll up our sleeves and work together to make sure how we're going to fund transportation sustainably, how we're going to keep people safe and healthy with healthcare access, and so many other important areas of our state government. I'm there for you. You know how to find me, my cell phone, my address. I'm always open and available to make time to meet with you in person with a mask, or by phone or Zoom, as we've been doing for the last few sessions and special sessions. I look forward to continue to be your voice in the legislature, and specifically in the Minnesota Senate, so we can move our Minnesota forward as one Minnesota. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Melissa Halverson Wickland, and I'm State Senator for Senate District 50. It's been an honor to serve the residents of Bloomington and Richfield over the past 4 years, and I hope that I can earn your support again this fall in the election coming up. I'd like to talk to you today about some of the key initiatives that I've been working on over the past 4 years, and let you know what areas that I've been most interested in. One area has been working to address the high cost of prescription drugs. And recently, on July 1st, the Alex Smith Act was enacted in Minnesota, which is an insulin program that is was developed to assist diabetic Minnesotans who are facing emergency issues accessing their insulin. It's named after Alex Smith, whose family lives in Richfield. Alec died when he was 26, and he was unable to afford his prescription of insulin, and so he began rationing it and was not able to get a supply before he passed away. This act will do two things. One, it provides a way for Minnesotans who are in an emergency need of insulin to access a 30-day supply at no charge at any pharmacy in Minnesota. This is meant to help people like Alec who are in a situation where they can't afford their next prescription right at the moment they need it, but who will work to find another way to access that in a more affordable manner, but it gets them a 30-day supply. I'm proud to have worked with Alex Smith's family and many insulin advocates to develop this bill with a bipartisan group of legislators. The second part of this program will address affordability for Minnesotans who qualify for the program and provides affordable insulin for a year period of time. These are just two ways that we are working to address the unacceptably high cost of insulin in Minnesota, and we need to do much more, but this is a start. Another area that I've worked on quite a bit for the past 4 years is the area of access to childcare in Minnesota. I recently worked to the finish line on a bill that was passed in the special session, which raises the reimbursement rates for providers and those who are accepting children who are on the Child Care Assistance Program. This is one way we can make use of federal funds coming to Minnesota to support our child care providers who are so essential in getting our economy going again as people go back to work. A third area that I've worked on is standing up for our residents as we deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. I have been working to support bills that assist our small businesses in our communities. I've been working with constituents on issues that they're facing with government programs such as unemployment insurance and childcare, emergency childcare grants. And I've also worked with city leaders in Richfield and Bloomington to make sure that they are able to access the state and federal funding that they need to help our communities get through this crisis. We have a lot more work to do, and I will pledge to you to work hard in the upcoming session to help develop a balanced budget in 2021. I will also be working to address inequities that we see in our healthcare systems, our educational systems, and disparities we see in our communities in terms of housing, education, and other areas. We have a lot of work to do to bring forward stronger communities, and I want to work with everyone in the community to develop solutions. As I said, I'm honored to have been your state senator, and I look forward to talking with you about any questions, concerns, or comments you have. And I hope you'll reach out and get in touch with me as the campaign season moves on. So I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Hello, this is State Representative Steve Elkins. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and thanks to the Bloomington League of Women Voters for providing this opportunity for me to speak with you directly. This marks the 35th year where my wife Judy and I have lived in our Bloomington home where we raised our two daughters. This is also the second year of my first term in the Minnesota House of Representatives, which has been challenging to say the least. In 2019, a dozen of my bills were passed into law, including a law that allows cities to reduce speed limits in residential neighborhoods for the first time, a cause that I have been working on since I first became a Bloomington City Council member almost 20 years ago. In addition, we passed tax cuts to Social Security recipients and middle-class wage earners. We enacted regulation of assisted living facilities and pharmaceutical middlemen. We provided inflationary budget relief to our local school districts, and we passed a balanced budget. As the 2020 session began, I had high hopes of passing legislation which I have personally been developing related to the reform of the pricing of drugs and elective medical procedures so that patients will know in advance what their care is going to cost, to increase the supply and improve the affordability of housing available to the next generation of Minnesota families, to guarantee the privacy of Minnesotans' personal data held by businesses, and to guarantee access for Minnesotans with disabilities to both internet resources and personal mobility options. And then COVID-19 happened and threw all of those ambitions into a cocked hat. So as I record this today, the legislature is about to go into its second special session, facing a budget deficit that is likely to consume the state's entire rainy day fund. We're still working towards an agreement on a public works bonding bill, which I'm confident actually that will get done by the time you're viewing this. And I'll be extremely disappointed if we don't pass a significant policing reform bill in the wake of George Floyd's murder. If you return me to the legislature in November, I'll redouble my efforts to pass each of these signature initiatives in the next session. In terms of budget priorities, I will continue to advocate for the transportation funding needed to provide a balanced transportation system composed of both roads and transit, which connects workers with jobs, funded at levels which allow local governments to reduce their reliance on property taxes as the primary source for road maintenance. Provide education funding at levels which will enable local school districts to reduce their reliance on local property tax levies to provide a quality education to our children. And I will continue to fight for universal access to quality health care at an affordable price. 2021 is shaping up to be a bruising budget battle. However, I will fight to prevent the state from balancing its budget by shifting the burden to local property taxpayers as it has done in similar situations in the past. You should also know that I have been leveraging my 25 years of private industry information technology experience by working through the Governor's Blue Ribbon Council on Information Technology Reform to identify changes in state laws that are necessary to prevent future IT project fiascos such as MNsure and MNLARS. I've been actively working on the MNLARS replacement project, and I'm currently digging into the information technology issues that are behind many of the extremely expensive mistakes at the Department of Human Services. You can learn more about my platform and my initiatives by visiting my website at elkinsforhouse.com. And because we don't know where we're going to be with respect to the COVID-19 virus in November, I'm strongly encouraging voters to visit the Minnesota Secretary of State's voter information portal to request a no-excuses absentee ballot. I'm sure that the League of Women Voters has provided a link to the voter portal on the website where you're viewing this video. And with that, thank you for your time today, and please stay safe. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joe Thalman. I'm a candidate for the House seat in House District 49B, which is in West Bloomington. And I got into the race kind of late, but I thought that the people of this area needed a choice of candidates and possibly offer a new direction, different from the team that has provided some of the troubling situations we find facing us here in the Twin Cities and the greater metro area presently. First of all, we have several issues that are impacting us at the same time with the COVID and the aftermath of the unfortunate riots in the downtown area. But they do affect the greater metro area. First, and I think most important to many people, is the issue of whether or not kids are going to be back in school this fall. And I think there is probably a possible compromise out there. I don't think it needs to be one way or the other. I do have a letter from a parent in the area who is a teacher herself with young school-age children, and she found it difficult to provide adequate education at home for her children, and she's encouraging the governor to open up the schools this fall. And she proposes a pretty sensible alternative. And again, her letter is an open letter to Governor Walz. It's on my website at joe4mn.com. I welcome you to go over and take a look at it. Her proposal is that the children who are okayed by their parents to go to school resume school without limitations. Probably temperature checks before they get on the bus would probably be a good idea to have. And then children who are unable to go to school for whatever reasons, health concerns or whatever reasons, they be on a second track and continue to study at home online. And the teachers who are available to teach full-time resume that. Other teachers who are unable to go back to the school for whatever reason would provide the education to the online students. I think that's kind of a happy medium, and I think that the governor needs to offer the people of the state a choice. It's their imperative. The parents are should be making the final decisions for the health and well-being of their own children. Secondly, it's imperative that the kids get back in school so the parents can resume their work lives and continue to rebuild the robust economy that we're so fortunate to have in the metro area and throughout the greater state. Excuse me. And as we get back to work, we have a uphill climb ahead of us to dig out of this loss of revenue that's going to be impacting the state budgets for many years to come. Certainly the Bloomington area is going to suffer a tremendous loss of revenue from the shutdown, the loss of sales from Mall of America, all of the auto dealers and the hotels, restaurants, everything in Bloomington that's been shut down for so long needs to reopen. We need to resume establish our economy and get families allowed to get back and get to work and get out of this hardship that they've been enduring the last so many months. We started this with a strategy to flatten the curve, and it's been a continued 2 weeks and 2 weeks and 2 weeks. And now people are facing real hardships. Businesses are closing down permanently, and people are looking for solutions. They need to have the choice to go back and resume their lives however they best see fit. I think the governor should really need to look at some serious alternatives to getting schools open, the economy going again. My opponent has given a blank check to the governor to continue his unrestrained powers to keep the economy shut down and continue to keep the kids out of school. I would like to offer an alternative to that. I'd like to push the governor in a different direction. I would like to represent you in 49B in West Bloomington, and I invite you to check out my website at joeformn.com. I invite your input. I would love to have you volunteer and help get the word out to the other residents of the area. A lot of people, I suspect, are going to be coming in off of the sidelines and voting for the first time, possibly in a long time. So please get involved. Make sure that you're registered to vote, and vote November 3rd like your life depends on it. We're seeking truth and justice, and where we go one, we go all. Thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Hi there. My name is Michael Howard, your state representative, and I'm running for re-election because I believe in the power of us, that together, when we band together as our neighbors and fight for each other, that we can accomplish big things that improve lives. I learned this as an intern on Senator Paul Wellstone's campaign in college, and in my first term as your state representative. I had the honor of serving our communities in Richfield and Bloomington, and we fought the good fight and got some good things done. I'm proud to have authored the Alex Smith Insulin Affordability Act and worked with James and Nicole Smith Holt to honor their son Alec, who lost his life rationing his insulin at the age of 26. We passed a nation-leading law that says never again in Minnesota will someone lose their life because they cannot afford the insulin they need to survive. We believe this should be true in Minnesota and throughout this country, and we're doing so in a way that holds insulin manufacturers that have profited richly off the pain of Minnesotans accountable to participate in the solution. This was a tough fight. The pharmaceutical lobby is amongst the largest in the country, but how we defeated Big Pharma to win this fight is by working together with regular Minnesotans coming to the Capitol, sharing their stories, and it's that kind of work together as a community that will allow us to tackle the challenges ahead. You know, I don't need to tell you we're in unprecedented times. Facing a global pandemic, it's more important than ever that we work together to protect the health of our citizens and protect the economic security of our future. As your state representative, I am committed to confronting our public health crisis in a way that is responsible, led by science, and protects lives. And I'm also committed to listening to you and being proactive in responding to the economic storms confronting us. In particular, we need to make sure that Minnesotans have the ability to afford the homes that they live in. We haven't had an affordable housing crisis before COVID-19, and it's only pronounced now more than ever. We need housing assistance and solutions that allow folks to afford their homes. We also need to confront racial inequities. Just less than a month ago, George Floyd lost his life. He was murdered in Minneapolis. And since, across the country, we've seen folks band together and push for change. I want to be part of that change with you. I am the author of police arbitration reform legislation that aims to hold officers accountable when they break the public trust. We need to pursue these basic reforms that honor the officers, that uphold the trust every day, and hold officers accountable when they break it. But we also need to acknowledge that racial inequities that were present at play when George Floyd was murdered go beyond policing. We need to acknowledge that Minnesota is a great place to live, but only if you're white. We have amongst the largest racial inequities in the country, and we're only going to be successful if we name it and confront them head on. As your state representative, I will do so and fight for housing justice. I will fight for affordable health care for all. I'll fight for child care access and better jobs and paid family leave. All of these where there are huge racial gaps between our white neighbors and our neighbors of color. We can create a future where every Minnesotan has the opportunity to succeed and be happy, and we can do that by working together. Now, in this election, folks are going to try to divide us. And the way that we can defeat that sentiment is by acknowledging, our power together. And you have a role in that. By showing up and voting, we together can confront this election and make sure that our community, our state, and our nation is back on the right track. And so I ask for your support. Again, my name is Michael Howard. You can learn more about my campaign at michaelhowardmn.com. I ask for your vote, and you can do it safely by requesting an absentee ballot right now on the Secretary of State's website. And I wish you the best. Be well, and thank you for your time.
Hello, I'm State Representative Andrew Carlson, and serving you in the Minnesota House of Representatives is truly an honor and a job I take very seriously. As the COVID-19 pandemic continues to impact Minnesota, I hope you and your family remain safe and healthy. This virus has impacted all of our lives in some form, but it has also proven that Minnesotans care about their neighbors and want to see each other succeed. In the Minnesota House, I was able to work across the aisle to deliver support for our public health professionals on the onset of COVID-19 and help deliver several bipartisan packages of legislation that delivered economic relief to those impacted by this virus. In addition to our work responding to the pandemic, we also passed new laws aimed at making medication more affordable, protecting our elections, and ensuring Minnesota remains strong during and after COVID-19. I made it a priority to help workers, families, and businesses weather the COVID-19 pandemic and the ensuing economic downturn. The House's proposed COVID-19 economic security agenda would address key priorities important to Minnesotans that we continue to fight for today, such as housing assistance for homeowners and renters, compensation for hourly school workers, loans for small businesses, wage increases for personal care attendants, and more. At the start of COVID-19, some of Minnesota's public safety and healthcare workers were putting their lives on the line to protect our communities, without any assurance that they would be looked after in the event that they caught the virus. In working with stakeholders, we were able to fight for the guarantee that these frontline responders would have access to workers' compensation benefits should they get sick. These are the Minnesotans that have our backs, and it's important that we have theirs as well. This year, the tireless work of insulin advocates throughout the state finally culminated in the Alex Smith Insulin Affordability Act becoming law. This was a big deal. In Minnesota, diabetics will now be able to access an emergency supply of life-saving insulin when they are in dire need, with insulin manufacturers paying for this solution. The Prescription Drug Price Transparency Act, which we also passed, shines a light on the practices of drug manufacturers and works to drive down costs for patients. Minnesotans regularly lead the nation in voter turnout. We want to continue this trend by protecting the integrity and safety of our elections. We did this by investing in improving accessibility and modernizing election security to prevent interference. And with the uncertain future of COVID-19, we also passed measures to ensure the health and safety of election officials and in-person voters. So in conclusion, as I continue to champion legislation that makes Bloomington and Minnesota a better place to live, please feel free to reach out with input or contact me if you are in need of assistance. I very much appreciate hearing from you.
Thank you for tuning in to the candidate videos. Remember to vote in the general election of 2020. You can vote early by mail, early in person, or on Election Day, November 3rd. To learn more about voting and registering to vote, go to the Minnesota Secretary of State's website at mnvotes.org.